Emmanuel Macron tells President Biden yesterday on a hot mic that the UAE and Saudis are at or near capacity on oil production right now. And he's about to go over there to talk to them about oil production and capacity while our gas prices continue to go up.
With your advice, I took the commission to call MBZ. So I call for increasing the production by Emirates. So I got him, he told me two things. One, I'm at the maximum. What he claimed, and he told me this is my prepaid commitment. Second, he told me, according to us, the Saudis can increase a little bit, but 150 or a little bit more, and they don't have huge capacities at this stage, before 6 months' time. The last one, the very last point is about what we do on the Russian oil.
Was that a? It's hard to read their minds, but obviously they knew there were reporters around. What do you think's going on here?
Well, first of all, to see Macron have to school Joe Biden and then, really, as he's talking, he's looking at Jake Sullivan the whole time. That would never happen under a Trump administration. When you're standing with the president of the United States, a head of state talking to a staffer, it would be very concerning to President Trump. But Joe Biden just stood there, and really Macron had the tutorial and the finger wagging for Jake Sullivan, and they both just looked like students of Macron. I have to say, though, as U.S. ambassador to Germany, I was struck by the Germans not being a part of that conversation at all. The French are really controlling what's happening. Macron is flexing his muscle. I got to think that if that situation was going on and Chancellor Merkel was in power, she would have been right there making sure that Macron didn't get the full ear and the full attention of President Biden.
You had Jake Sullivan actually say, how about we take this inside?
He actually said that.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so he actually said, how about we take this inside? Which tells you that number one,
out of control,
totally out of control, but out of control on something that really, Rick, and I got to say this, it's really impacting the American people. I know you're out talking to people like we are. It is really impacting the American people.
I would say this is that I was pleased that this conversation was out in public, because within the foreign policy world, we've seen very concerning signs. We've seen the trouble. But now that it's out in the open with Macron doing this publicly, I think the world is beginning to see that Joe Biden is not in charge.
All right, last thing I wanted to talk about, and that is, as it relates to now, the United States is negotiating not in Vienna, but now in Doha, Qatar, with the Iranians again, through intermediaries, Qatar being the intermediary, or UAE. Was it UAE? Yeah, it was UAE. What's your thought on that? I cannot even believe we're back at the table with the Iranians in any capacity. I don't care how far away from the table you're sitting.
Well, look, the Russians are the ones who are really leading this and pushing the Iranians and pushing everybody else to sit down and talk. You've got to think, if you're the Emirati president, you just had to deal with the Houthis trying to bomb your country, which is directly to blame. The Iranians are directly to blame for that. But now they're being forced to sit down and have a discussion about this. This is an upside down world. I've got to think that Joe Biden is going to get an earful from the Saudis on this issue. The Saudis know what the Iranians are up to. They know the terrorist organizations. They've had trouble with their own terrorist organizations within their borders. They know that this is a complicated issue. They know countries can't look the other way. But also, I think the Russians would like some help in Syria. So they're pressuring the Iranians to do something more. It's clear to me that the Russians are saying we can't do Syria and Ukraine. We need a little help here. We're overextended.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Rick, thanks for being with us. And thanks for your insights and information. Folks, I keep saying this. We got Rick Grenell, who's a member of the cabinet, director of national intelligence, former ambassador to Germany. Mike Pompeo, former secretary of state. That's because of your support of the ACLJ. I just want to say thank you to all of them.